Hello and welcome to Squid Pro Quo, a Squid Game podcast where there are only 3 rules. 1, a player is not allowed to stop podcasting. 2, a player who refuses to podcast will be eliminated. And 3, the podcast will be terminated if the majority agrees. I'm Sean.
And I'm Mike, and welcome everybody. We are going to be covering episode 4 of Squid Game Season 2, 6 Legs. But before we get into that, Sean, we actually have a comment from a listener that I wanted to highlight.
Okay.
They commented on the first episode, because as of this recording, only the first episode is up.
Yep.
And I'm sure we'll get more comments later. But our good friend Wildcat Diana commented on Bread and Lottery and said, "It's funny that conversation about the bread and lottery scene. I interpreted it as he was recruiting to the games, spotting who is enough of a gambler to refuse the bread even being on the street."
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
And then she adds, "Can't wait to continue listening. Thank you, Diana."
Thank you, Diana.
So we have a Q&A section on Spotify that, like most podcasts on Spotify do, and you guys can just leave comments in there, and we'll read them if you want us to on the pod live, like Diana. And also, just a reminder, we do have our email, SPQ. I'm sorry, that is not it. It is squidboyspq@gmail.com, where you can email us, and we'd love to read emails. And even if you don't want it read on the pod, just let us know. If you just want to, reach out and say hello. We're happy to hear it. So six legs, Sean. Before we dive into the recap, what did you think of this episode?
Not my favorite.
Okay.
I think I liked last episode a lot more.
Okay.
This is more, I don't know. I liked it. Again, the pacing of the season is crazy. I almost am like, maybe you should have just. It's difficult, right? Because it's we're over halfway through now after episode 4, and we're not done with the second game, and like it feels like we're still really at the beginning of arcs and stuff for characters. Yeah. So it's kind of like I almost would have preferred that this had come out next year.
Well, the thing is, it's tough to say without seeing it all, right? I think maybe that's a determination. I get what you're saying, and I mostly agree with you right now, but I think we probably have to wait to watch all of it to really make that determination.
A few more episodes to see.
Yeah, but it does seem like that this is one of those scenarios that, like we talked about, I think last episode, that AMC used to do, where they'd go, "It's the final season, but it's cut into 2 parts, and you have to wait months in between." Yeah. So it does seem like that. I think I enjoyed this episode a little bit more than you did. I really like the intrigue with 001.
Definitely the best part of the episode, for sure.
And also, full disclosure, I've watched episode 5, and I'm not going to try to let that color most of my opinions here. But I will say, he is just a captivating actor.
Oh, he is incredible. There's a lot that I like. Like I like everything about this episode. I'm just kind of like, where are we going?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But he just, when he's on screen and he's talking and he's like... Yeah, no,
he's incredible.
He's just a very captivating actor. I
think there's a lot of really great actors in this episode,
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not trying to...
No.
Even the dub, like the dub isn't as outrageous as it was in season 1, in my opinion. Because I've just been watching the dub.
Yeah.
And Gihan, he's a more subdued character this season, but he's definitely not as wild and crazy. I really enjoy the performances. You're right that everybody, but he in particular,
he stands out.
001. Yeah. So let's get into it. The cold open is the incinerator room that we're familiar with from season 1. And what I think they want us to notice here is that some of the coffins have crosses on them painted in blood, which, if you remember, was the workers signifying to the underground black market organ harvesting ring that was someone they could harvest because they were still breathing when they put them in the coffin.
Yeah. I did not realize this was as big a thing as it ended up being.
Like in this episode, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, like, last season kind of sold this as something that like 3 people were doing. Yeah. And it definitely seems like this episode is like, no, this is a much bigger thing.
Yeah, it seems like it's grown into a much bigger thing.
I don't know. I think it was always a big thing. the way that he talks about it. We could talk about it a little bit later in the episode, but yeah. There's also some really great, like, weird chanting over the opening of the episode that I really dug.
Yeah, the music in this season has been really killer. We then after the title screen, we we're eating. It's food time, and Gi-hun does not want to eat. He's completely distraught at the fact that the vote passed and everybody voted to stay.
Yeah.
And his good buddy tries to cheer him up and make him eat.
He's like, "Here comes the airplane."
Yeah, but he won't do it. And then a group approaches, led by 001. 001 says, "Hey, you're the reason I decided to vote to stay."
Yeah,
Gi-han.
You made me think I could play one more game.
He says, "Sir, you're the reason I felt like I could play one more game because you succeeded." And they get into conversation about what's the next game going to be, and Gi-han mentions that they played Dalgana last time.
Yeah.
Which is, the cookie, and you cut it out, and they talk about how the triangle was the easiest shape and the umbrella was the hardest, and Gi-han has some flashbacks of getting his umbrella out, which was miraculous at the time. And they kind of discuss this, and certain people kind of run off to go tell other people, but some people are like, hey, we shouldn't tell everybody, and there's this whole push and pull with it. And Gi-han's very distraught at the whole situation. The son runs off to tell his mother, who is away helping the pregnant woman, 222.
Yes.
Giving her food, and it sounds like she's worked as a midwife at some point.
Yes.
And helped deliver some babies in her neighborhood, which I feel like is a somewhat common thing in that culture, but I don't know that for sure. And so she's trying to help her, and the son keeps trying to pull her away and explain to her, like, hey, we know it's going to be Dalgana, we got to get Triangle, blah, blah, blah. It's, we're starting to flesh out these characters a little more.
Yes. Make us care about them before we're about to, put them in a very tense situation.
Yes. The crowd around Gi-han's cleared out quite a bit, but 001's still there, and they begin to argue about the vote, and he blames him, specifically saying, hey, you could have just voted no, and we'd all be at home safe right now.
Yes.
And he's like, well, hey, I was the last vote. There's 184 people that, voted as well. And he goes, there's 184 people that voted to go home, and you made the final choice. And so they kind of butt heads a little bit.
So I want to talk about Frontman here for a second, as we're kind of getting into this. We were kind of like, we were wondering about him and his motivation and everything. Does it seem to you he's almost fascinated by Gi-han?
He definitely is trying to figure out more about Gi-han and why he's there.
Yeah, I think, I almost think he's like, I almost get the vibe of he's trying to be like, hey man, see it my way. We should be, on the same side. He's trying to prove a point, I think.
He's trying to prove a point, absolutely. As Jungbei kind of breaks up their argument, like, hey guys, there's no reason to be arguing. 388, Daiho.
This guy.
I love this guy.
Yeah.
He says, hey, ever since I saw Gi-han cover his mouth and go, stay still, and he keeps doing it, like, that was so cool, and I want to get to know you guys. And we find out that he's a former Marine, and we also find out that Jungbei is a former Marine, and so there's a lot of sir, yes sir, going on, and they're hyped up about being ex-Marines together.
That scene was funny because he jumps down and he's like, I'll be with you guys all the way, and Jungbei's like, who are you?
Yeah. Well, one thing I liked too that was a nice little touch is, he goes, oh, you were Marine, what contingent? And he doesn't want to tell him. And then the guy, he's like, were you a Marine? And he like doesn't believe him. And he goes, oh, just 1 second, as he takes off his jacket to show him. And then he's like, oh shit, you were, yes sir. Completely flips. But I really like this character. I like that he's kind of, I know we mentioned someone else as kind of being the Ali, but I think this guy's kind of the Ali.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be very sad when he dies. So they're Marine buddies. Meanwhile, Thanos will not leave the YouTube crypto guy alone.
Yeah, well, Thanos is a fucking, Lorenzo is insane.
Yeah, he's nuts. He pushes the food in the guy's face after arguing with him. They start scuffling, and the the other guy, I don't remember his name, but Thanos' lackey.
Yeah.
They start beating up YouTube Man.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, somebody should do something. And the two ex-Marines don't want to do it, but
I do like I like the younger ex-Marines like, me?
Yeah, he's like, you want me to do it?
You want me to do it?
001 goes and like just disposes of both of them in very efficient fashion.
He might be Batman.
Yeah, to the point where it's like, oh, he is like fully trained. He doesn't even break a sweat with these guys. And not that these guys were like, they're thugs. They're not like trained fighters or anything.
This is the most skilled fighter we've seen in the show so far.
For sure. There was some choreography done here, and like, you know what I mean? Like, it was pretty impressive. Well, and people cheer.
Well, and I love what it is that like Thanos, you know, take care of your own damn kids is what triggers it. And we learn a little bit more about Frontman.
That's true.
Later, but I do just, man, he kicks their fucking ass, and I was like, am I rooting for the Frontman right now?
Yeah,
like, what is
that's
happening?
That's the thing, and that's what I was saying earlier is he's not only is he captivating, he's like likable, right?
Yeah.
Or at least this version of himself that he's like showing to us, like he's very likable.
Well, I think it's that he's earnest.
Yeah.
Like everything he believes.
Well, I don't know if earnest is the right word because he's clearly lying about
the
time frame in which things have happened. There are things that happened. But
he's not telling the truth, but he's earnest in the point that he's trying to get across.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. So, but he's just a very likable dude. People cheer for a long time, and they're kind of like, "Is this guy an ex-Marine?" And they cover up their tattoos.
One guy just goes, "What is he?"
Yeah. Just an absolute machine. We cut to guard number 11. Who just kind of has a flashback of the dad of the strawberry hat girl being in the games and her gun pointed on him. And that's all we see from her at this point. We get like some kind of just like, hey, people living in the dorm shots, including crazy woman, number 44.
God.
Just sitting on her top bed all the way at the top and just going, take all my sorrow, dissolve it into the ether. She just says that randomly to herself. Because she's insane.
I'm trying to see what because she says something else in the sub. I'm trying to pull it up really quick.
Oh, is the sub different?
Yeah, she says dissolve my karmic ties and grievances. Yeah, that's it. Dissolve my karmic ties and grievances, which is similar. But it's a little, I don't know. It's more shaman-y. I think it.
Yeah.
They call her a shaman later in the episode.
They do call her a shaman in the dub.
They do as well. Okay.
So, yeah.
That to me feels more spiritual.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's great having God around for the games.
So it's we flash forward to bedtime. And Gi-Han is not sleeping. He's sitting fully up. Doesn't seem interested in sleeping.
001 comes in, you know, his fingers under his chin, like, hey, what's going on?
Well, he comes in to apologize, which is, he goes, hey, you know, I shouldn't have, you know, treated you the way I did. And Gi-Han also apologizes, saying, you know, I shouldn't have said this was all on you. 180 people, 4 people voted, you know. And then we get the backstory from the front man that we learned earlier through his brother about his wife being sick.
We get a little more information.
Because Junho did mention a bribe that he took. But he explains it as it was an oldest client and they were friendly and they offered to give him money to help.
Yes.
And the company saw it as a bribe, so they fired him.
Yes.
But he's talking about this stuff as if it's going on right now.
And so, so here's where I'm saying I think he's being earnest, is I think he's telling him the story of the first time he was in the games.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. That's absolutely what he's doing.
You know, and that's
why
I have
an out there question for you.
Yeah.
Is this a time-traveling front man?
I don't think so. I like the idea, though.
Did the front man pluck himself from the past and put himself in the games?
Is this like a Kingdom Hearts time travel where he has to separate the heart from body in order to be able to...
I don't think it's that crazy. I just think he has a time machine and he plucked him and put him in the games.
Okay. Okay, so did did Frontman go back and get himself and put him in the games?
Yeah, but he was wearing the mask, so he didn't know.
So
because that would break your mind, right?
Yeah.
So I don't even know that this Frontman knows that he's in the future. Like the way that he did it, he just thinks he walked into the games because that's where he plucked him.
Yeah.
And so he thinks he's gonna get out and see his wife.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Okay. Well, my theory is that he's pretending to he's telling the story of the first time that he was in the games, and that's why, I don't know, that's why, like, I would say he's still being earnest, even though what he's saying is technically, like, not entirely true, because that isn't the reality of this moment, but I think that was the reality at one point. I do think that.
Yeah.
And my assumption would be, I guess maybe we'll find out, but maybe she died while he was in the games or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Because otherwise, right?
Gihan, right?
Yeah, otherwise
with his mom.
Yeah, wouldn't he have been able to, do something about it when he got the money?
Yeah, for sure. We then cut to the organ harvesting subplot.
Oh, I'm so sorry. The really important part of what is said there that we did not bring up, though, that is the cause for the trigger earlier, is we do learn, and I don't think that we knew this before.
She was pregnant. Yes.
That she was pregnant.
And he tried to get her to abort it, and she didn't want to because she's stubborn. And
to be clear, they said they suggested an abortion as a to save her life.
Right, like, not because he didn't want the kid, but because it was to save her life.
She wasn't going to be able to survive the birth. Right. She was too weak.
Right. So yeah, I asked you, I believe it was last episode, why did this guy shoot the guy in the leg and not kill him?
We learned, I did not think that there was going to be an explanation.
You just thought he was just being cruel, but actually they're trying to, the plot of the harvesting the organs is back, and it seems like a much bigger operation this time around.
So here's the thing. They do say, like, it's implied, I don't know, it's implied to me that this is a long-running thing that has always been this big of an operation. Last time they fucked up, is all. Because he says last time we made a mistake by bringing in the, by bringing in the player. But she implies that, like, this has been going on for a long time.
See, I disagree. I think it's been going on since when Gihan was in the games. And since then,
I guess I keep forgetting it's been 3 years, so there's probably been 3 games since, right?
I'm saying they learned their lesson there and hired a doctor at that point and have been doing it ever since.
No, I guess there can't have been games in between, because he says last time they messed up by having one of the players. So that would mean that the last games was Gihan's.
I don't know that. I mean, I was assuming that there were games in between, but I guess
I was too. Or maybe they didn't try to do the organ thing in the games in between, and this is them trying again for the first time in 3 years.
Yeah, possibly. But the point of this is that they can't harvest any organs because guard number 11 is doing too good of a job of killing them. And so
she's very clearly trying to stop the organ harvesting.
The people were dead for too long, and so their organs are no good at that point.
Yeah.
And Black Suit, who we learn is titled as the Officer, is not happy about this, and he meets with 11 privately in his quarters. And there's a backstory about he saved her 7 years ago and brought her in as a guard.
Yes.
To give her like kind of a second chance at life. She was in the hospital, and she had, I don't remember exactly what he said she did. She like broke through some guards somewhere. She
defected from North Korea. She killed the people in her, or she fought her way through the demilitarization zone, the DMZ.
Yep, you're right. That's what it was.
I have a weird question for you.
Okay.
Is there sexual tension between these two?
I didn't feel that way. I do feel like he has maybe some, like I think he's fond of her.
Yeah.
Clearly, and kind of just wishes she would fall in line here. I don't know if it's necessarily sexual, but it could be. I don't think they did a lot to show that if that's the case.
It's just something about the way that she responds to him of just like, she doesn't give a fuck what he says. Like she is in a position with a superior officer where she holds a whole lot of power that feels strange for somebody in her position.
Well, I think part of that, though, is because he does mention that they're not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
This isn't approved.
But they could easily still make her disappear.
Yeah, but there would probably be some questions with that, right?
Maybe. I mean, Frontman's in the game. You know?
Right, right. But like I said, I still think he's fond of her. I just don't think it's necessarily sexual.
Oh, I don't even mean on that end. I just mean that I was half joking about that. But I do just, there's an interesting dynamic to their power imbalance where, he should have a lot more power than he seems to have over her.
Yeah, I think they just have a relationship of, I just think that he doesn't want to do that because he likes her. You know what I mean? Like friends.
No.
I don't think it, like...
Again, I was half joking about the sexual tension part of it.
No, I'm not even talking about that anymore, but I don't think he's like... I don't think he's like holding back because of any reason other than they're friends. You know what I mean?
Okay,
like he doesn't want to have to do that. But if she continues to interfere, like obviously it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
She does mention that he says that she's changed, and she goes, "Well, actually, you're the one that's changed because when I first picked up this job, you told me it was to end people's misery, and now here you are, doing this. You've changed." And he goes, "Well, I don't. They're still gonna die either way. What's the problem with taking their organs and trying to help other people with them?" Which is a very convenient way of putting that because they're getting paid on the side. It's not just about helping people, right?
Well, yeah.
And
I don't think it's at all about helping people.
Right. She doesn't really give a good answer to that. She just is kind of like, "Hey, can I be dismissed?" Like,
yeah. Well, I don't think she buys it.
Well, that, but also like. I understand his logic, right? Like, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Right. And she doesn't have a good answer to that, and I'm wondering what her if she was being honest with him, what her actual answer would be there.
Well, I think it's she doesn't want to profit off of this.
Yeah, maybe.
Like she says, she says, helping you hired me to help those who feel hopeless by putting them out of their misery, and I think that like. She doesn't buy his whole, we're helping people by harvesting the organs. I think she's like, no, you're profiting off of something that you implied was like a service, right? That like we're dirtying our hands to help these people who are in a worse situation than we are, and that they can't keep going, and so we'll throw ourselves in the mud. Like, this is all bullshit, by the way, but this is how they justify it to themselves. We'll throw ourselves into the mud and do the thing that scars our souls in order to help these people. And he's like, also, we'll make some money off of it. And I think that's the part that she has a problem with.
Yeah, that could be just it. I was reading a little bit more into it, and I wonder if there is, or if you're right, that's all it is.
I do want to point out as well, I'm curious about, so it's been 7 years since she defected, so her kid would be 8 now. We talked about there was a 1-year-old. If her kid's alive, which it's like everybody is saying there's no way, right?
Right.
So she'd be 8 now. I don't know if that means anything, but yeah,
I didn't think about that. You're right, because
I wanted to keep that in the back of my head.
Yeah. So after that scene, after she leaves, we cut to our boat boys.
Yeah.
And Junho specifically is going back to the police captain, his buddy, to ask for help. He hasn't spoken with him since he put in his resignation without telling him. It's the police captain changed it to a leave of absence because he clearly thinks Junho's misguided here. And he gets him a meeting with what I assume is the police chief.
Yeah.
And it is a dumpster fire for Junho. He's just like saying the same things he said before, but without proof. And like, we need to search for this island. And they think he's a whack job and he needs to go to counseling. And as the police chief leaves, he goes, "Accept his resignation. He's beyond help now."
Yep.
And the captain's like, What have you done? You're an idiot." And he's like chasing after the, "No, I promise he'll go to counseling." Like, he's just trying to help him, even though Junho clearly doesn't want that help.
Yeah.
And then we cut to a phone call between Wu and Junho, where they have a plan to get a second boat with more men. And once the weather clears, it's raining at this time, they'll go search for the island, and they're going to find him. And so Wu goes inside, and he's having lunch with the ship captain. And I wrote, shady fucking ship captain, dude.
Yeah. He's like, oh, we can't go until tomorrow.
So there's this thing that happens where Wu doesn't want to like tell him all the details that he's asking for. But the captain just kind of says something vague about, oh, the guy that's played the games before. And Wu's like, oh, you know about that? You can know about everything. And spills the beans to him.
How much did Gi-Han actually tell him? I can't remember if we even were told. Like, in my head, I'm trying to be like, is he even supposed to know that?
Wu? Yeah, no, he knows, because remember he told...
No, not Wu, the boat captain.
I don't think Gi-Han has interacted with the boat captain ever.
I'm sorry, did I say Gi-Han? I meant, Junho. How much has he told him? How much of this is actually information that he was given by Junho, and is any of this just him knowing more than he should?
He had to have known about Gi-Han, I think. I think Junho probably told him, like, hey, that, maybe you're right. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. I don't remember. But
he just as the conversation goes on, he just keeps going like, oh, I can't believe all that he said about the island and the killing people and stuff is real. And I was like, did he tell you all that? I can't remember.
I think we're supposed to assume that on all the times they were searching for this island that he's told them a bunch, right?
It's just hard because this episode has another plot point in it where somebody knows more than they're letting on. So it's kind of like I'm looking for that everywhere.
Right.
You know?
Wu gets absolutely fooled, though. Here, it's clear.
Yeah.
And then he ends his speech with saying, we either all live or we all die.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? That's an insane thing to say.
For this plotline, I do really like that they add the whole, we have 5 days to do this. Like, there's a ticking clock.
Yeah, that's true. They do that as well. We cut back to what appears to be the next game, which turns out to be Dalgana, but surprise, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And everybody's lined up at Triangle, and they reveal the Triangle cookie, and it's the most, like, intense fucking triangle you could imagine.
Hey, chat, you guys think you could do it?
Yeah, do you guys think you could do that triangle? I don't think so.
I think Jip is going to say he could do it.
It depends how strict they are on the little, like, serrated edges of the triangle, right?
Yeah. Jip is absolutely going to say he can do it, right?
Yeah, Jip's going to say he can do it, for sure.
Yeah.
But he's wrong.
Yeah, no, absolutely he's wrong.
Something interesting about this dream is the way that in the dream, Gi-Han is very focused on 001's perception of him.
Well, when he time traveled back, his heart, is able to access the sleeping realm. Really, that is the front man in the dream. Like, he's the only person in the dream that's real because that's, his heart, like, going through the sleeping realm and being in the dream for real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, yeah. I agree. I think their hearts are connected. Their hearts are as one.
Yeah.
So he wakes up, and we're getting ready for the game now. And then this is the first I realized that YouTube crypto guy is the baby daddy?
Yep.
I hadn't made that connection. I remember thinking it's weird they haven't talked about the baby daddy that she called at all, but that was him the whole time, and I just hadn't made that connection till now. She is not a fan of him. We find out that the doctor's appointment she was at was her going to get an abortion that he suggested, and then when he doesn't answer the phone, she changes her mind, and she didn't do it. So that she is just not having any of his shit. And he's trying to like protect her and stuff, and he it seems like he really didn't notice she was in the games till now, which seems crazy to me.
I don't know, there's a lot of people still.
That's true. Thanos popping pills, dude, and his homeboy notices and asks for some, and he goes, "Nah, bro, I don't know what you're talking about." But that guy's insane.
Yep.
We get into the next game, and this isn't Dalgana.
No, it's not.
It's the same area-ish. It looks similar. It's a little small or bigger, I think. But there's two big rainbow circles on the ground.
Yep.
And they say, hey, you have 10 minutes to put yourself into teams of 5. And we get a similar scene to what we had in season 1 where everybody had to team up in pairs and people are getting rejected by other people.
And we also had this in Tug of War.
Yep, in Tug of War as well. The old man is not happy that it's not Delgana. And he says similar lines to what Gihan heard in his dream.
Yeah.
This is your fault. But 001 defends him and says that's enough. And because of his his fight earlier where he proved he was a badass, this guy backs down immediately, and they're like, whatever, this guy's fucking crazy. Delgana my ass, and they go team up.
And Frontman has a line to Gihan where he goes I still trust you. I'd like to play the game with you if that's all right.
Yes, and the other 2 gentlemen agree as well, and so I wrote the 4 horsemen stay together.
So I'm going to make a prediction for the end of the season here.
Okay.
I think the end of the season is going to be Frontman trying to get Gihan to join him. I think we're going to get
Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back. I think we're not going to, I think we're also going to have a cliffhanger on whether Gihan does join him or not.
Gihan, but I think, I'm your father.
I think he's going to reveal, because the whole thing that he's trying to do in this is he's trying to get Gihan to realize that their perspective is right. He says earlier on when they're talking about the Delgana game and they talk about the shapes and Gihan brings up that some people got umbrella, he immediately goes, those unlucky bastards must have bitten the dust, huh? And the point of that to me is him saying that deliberately, knowing that Gihan had umbrella and that he still made it. No, this is fair, right? You can still win even if you get the hardest circumstances put onto you. I think his whole thing, he after the old man comes over and it's no, we can't tell people about Delgana because then there's going to be less money in the pot. Frontman is almost making eye contact with Gihan, where he's trying to, I think this whole season is about trying to push Gihan to the edge and trying to get him to see it the same way of these people are beyond saving.
Yeah, no, I get it. I agree. He's definitely playing mind games with him. It's an interesting thing, I've seen episode 5 already. So I don't want to comment any further on it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Junhee, the pregnant woman, will not team up with her baby daddy because she hates him. She says, I don't trust you. I'll team up with somebody else, even though she has no prospects to team up with at this point. Player 120 has trouble finding the team because, surprise, she's trans and people don't like that, believe it or not. But player 95 says, hey, will you team up with me? The mom and son are running around trying to join teams, but they keep getting denied because she's an older woman. And he's like, hey, I need you to be more confident. What happened to the mom that cusses me out? And da-da-da. And she hits him and calls him a piece of shit. And he goes, there we go. It's kind of weird because he's kind of there's some weird energy with it where it's step on me, mommy kind of.
Okay,
stuff.
That's definitely the dub because that is not present in the sub.
Okay,
no,
okay. It's a little weird in the dub.
Okay.
And it's not, I don't think it's meant to be, but it just comes off a little strange.
In the sub, it comes across as him being he goes what the fuck is wrong with you? You used to beat the shit out of me. Why are you being so passive? And then she starts to be fucking, how dare you talk to me that way? I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. And she starts hitting him. And he's do that for the.
I guess it's similar to what the sub is, but he doesn't say "step on me, mommy" or whatever. But I thought it was a weird vibe. Is all I'm saying.
I don't know. I got it more as him trying to get a certain energy out of her. He's
for
I
sure.
know that this is present in you. I guess I never had that never crossed my mind.
It just plays a little weird, I think, because he's to me he's kind of a goofy goober kind of guy, and I don't know. It just plays weird to me. Thanos recruits, I wrote here, mid-2000s Utada and Minsu. Because that girl's haircut is exactly Utada Kingdom Hearts 2 Kairi.
Damn, you're right.
And the moment I saw her, I went, is that Utada from 2008?
Is that Utada?
I
can't believe
Minsu,
they got that.
Who should be protected at all costs. Minsu is a precious little guy, and I love him. So he recruits them along with his one lackey who's a douchebag and some other guy who we don't really get to know. And then I didn't mention this, but they sent the 288. They sent the ex-Marine guy out to recruit somebody. He finds another ex-Marine guy, but around that time, Junhee walks up and is like, "Hey, can I be on your guys' team? I'm pregnant." And Gihan's absolutely gonna let her on the team.
Please help me, I'm pregnant. Yeah.
Right. And then the mom and son team up with 95 and 120, and then 44 comes in and is like, "How dare you not ask me to be part of your team? This was destined. I should have been the first person you asked." So that's like the fucking misfit team that we have here. And the 10 minutes is up, and everybody has their teams, and we learn exactly what this game is, which is a 6-legged pentathlon. Pentathlon? I don't know how they say it.
Yeah.
But they're tied together, so there's 6 legs between the 5 people, and they have to play 5 different games a game at each checkpoint, and make it across the finish line within 5 minutes. And the games are Dachi, Flying Stone, Gongi, Spinning Top, and Jeggy. Dachi we're familiar with. Flying Stone is just
throw some shit.
knock over a stone with another stone by throwing it. Gongi's like jacks, is like the closest like American equivalent I can think of. Where you bounce the ball and pick up the jacks. Spinning Top, which is pretty explanatory, and Jeggy, which is kind of like hacky sack from what I'm getting. It's like a hacky sack, but with like a streamer on it, as opposed to being a sack of beans, right?
Yeah.
And the teams are discussing who does what, because one person has to do each game. You can't have one person do multiple games. And apparently Gongi is for women.
Yeah, apparently.
This must be a culture thing we don't understand, but they want the 222 to do Gongi, and she's like, "Hey, I don't know how to play." But the ex-Marine's like, "Well, I grew up with all sisters, so I know how to play." And so they're like, "Okay." And what's interesting when they're deciding is, Junbei says, "I'll do the rock throwing," and 222 goes, "I'll do the dachi." I actually kicked the handsome guy's ass at dachi, right?
Yeah.
And then he goes, "Well, what about you, 001?" And he goes, "Well, I'm fine with whatever you pick, Gihan."
He's like, "Hold on a second."
Like putting faith into him, to like make the decision as the leader, right?
Yeah.
And so he says, "Well, I'm good with Jeggy, so you do Spinning Top," and so they have it all settled.
Well. An important part of this as well.
He says Gihan, right? He says Gihan, and he goes, "How did you know my name?"
Yeah.
And he clearly lies and said, "I heard your friend say it, so I figured I'd try it. Does it bother you?" And he's like, "Oh no, it's fine. You can call me Gihan."
Yeah.
But yeah, they have it settled what each player is going to do, and then we get 2 kind of nobody teams.
Yeah.
To start to kind of introduce how the game works.
Yep.
The music that plays here is incredible.
Yep.
And
I love it. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
The sub of the team of all guys going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 is so fucking good.
They're very hype about it. They're like, "We're gonna crush this shit."
Yeah.
It's just as funny in the dub. I'll be honest with you. And I wrote here, "Oh brother, this guy stinks at Flying Stone," because he takes the team hard, because they get Dachi right away.
Yeah.
And then he's bad. And then he hits it one time, and his foot's crossed the line.
Yep. And he pisses himself.
And then he pisses himself, and all the guys in the team, "You fucking idiot! You're a fucking piece of shit! What the fuck? You're gonna fucking kill us all!" And the other team's doing okay.
There's a really funny throughout this back and forth between Gihan's friend and the front man, where they're like going back and forth like, "Hey, don't fuck up, because if you fuck up, then we're screwed." Yeah, like front man says like, "If Flying Stone could really cost us a time waste," and you can see Gihan's pal kind of has a face of like, "What the fuck? Why are you singling me out?" And then later on he gets him back with like, "Well, Spinning Top will take us even longer if you mess it up."
Yeah. That's a good moment.
And front man also is like, "Hey, what the fuck?"
Yeah. The misfit team is like concerned about the shaman lady fucking up Spinning Top, because that one looks like the hardest one for sure.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, are you sure you want to do Spinning Top? Like, and she's like, yeah, my path was already decided for me. It's like just a fucking bitch about it. And in the dub, she the mom calls her a skank. I was like, oh hell yeah, that's crazy. But
she also in the sub she also calls her a skank.
Oh, nice, hell yeah, love that. Yeah. So then neither team makes it. They both get gunned down, and the room is very doom and gloom by this. One guy stands up and says, "We should have left. Now we're all gonna die!" And starts screaming. It's very dire situation, and they have to clean up in between, which is like terrible. Like, you don't think about that kind of stuff in this television show, but yeah, sorry guys, we got to clean up the dead bodies that we left. And one in particular, the guy who was terrible at throwing stone, is still alive, and they put him in the coffin and put the X on his coffin. But then number 11 comes up and goes, open the coffin, and she outranks these guys, so they do, and puts a bullet in his head and walks away.
And in his heart.
So, in his heart, puts 2 bullets in him. And so she is not listening to what her superior told her to do. She is still doing, making sure that the kill is confirmed. Thanos and his bro, the bro wants some of the drugs, and they talk about, this is some fucked up shit, and the guy shows him like heroin marks, and it's like, I do drugs, it's fine. So then he gives him drugs. I wrote here, Kyrie from Cage 2 makes fun of the weirdo for taking drugs. And then we are setting up for our Misfit team to be next. And I wrote Cho Yun-ju, which is the name of 120, because they introduce themselves to each other to try and have camaraderie. I wrote, she is a leader. She is an absolute leader. She knows what she has to do to get this team together and make sure that they succeed. The shaman lady is absolutely shook by this whole scenario. She thinks she's going to die. And I wrote that I actually liked her a lot better when she was like mysterious and very confident, as a character. And now, but like, that's kind of the point, right? Like, it's like, oh, she's not as, she's
I think it's more interesting for her to have to start cracking a little bit.
Yeah. I'm not
even though it's not as entertaining.
Well, I'm not saying me liking her better means she's more interesting.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like so she's falling apart, and as the game is about to start, that's when the episode ends.
And that's when I went, we're really not fucking finishing this shit, are we?
Yeah. So yeah, that's episode 4, six legs. Kind of a setup episode in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Kind of a dead man's chest of the Squid Game.
Okay, but Dead Man's Chest has that kick-ass fight with the 3 of them on the wheel.
Yeah, and
that fight's awesome.
Dead Man's Chest also ends with Barbosa coming down the stairs at the end,
and that is
and
like
I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah, that is like the
But the problem with Dead Man's Chest is the next movie is at World's End, and so everything they set up in Dead Man's Chest sucks. That's the problem.
Okay, At World's End is not that bad.
It's rushed and not
for sure. It's not. It's definitely the weakest entry of the trilogy.
I think it makes Dead Man's Chest worse retroactively, because a lot of the stuff it set up doesn't pay off. They just kill the Kraken off screen.
I guess.
Chow Yun-fat's in the movie, and he does not one karate move.
It's been about 10 years since I've seen any of those movies.
Check out our Pirates of the Caribbean podcast that we're starting right now. I have a lot of thoughts on Dead Man's Chest, okay?
I love those fucking movies.
I left the theater of Dead Man's Chest being so fucking hyped for the next movie.
Yeah.
And I was so absolutely disappointed by the third one.
It's like finishing Man of Steel and being like, man, all right, well, that was okay. There's some stuff to do there, like it could be the next one could be interesting, and then you get Batman versus Superman.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing though, Sean. While I was disappointed by At World's End, and I compared this episode to Dead Man's Chest, I've seen episode 5, and I was not disappointed by it.
Okay.
I actually told you off recording that this episode contains maybe my favorite scene in all of Squid Game.
You did say that. So, is there a scene is that the equivalent of the Beckett walking down the stair scene at World's End? Because that's my favorite scene. That scene's really fucking cool.
It's kind of, and that scene's really cool. It's just good business, That scene's really good. That's true. I whenever I think about at World's End, I don't think about that scene, and I should, because that scene's incredible.
It's really good.
Like, it's crazy that they made a dog shit movie for like a 30-second scene that is one of the most incredible scenes in the history of cinema.
Cinema.
It's absolute cinema. It's just him walking down the stairs.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
Incredible.
I do have a few notes. notes.
Yeah. Before I start talking about Pirates of the Caribbean more.
Yeah, it's dangerous because
on the fourth movie.
I gave up after a while. We did. I can't. I don't actually remember if you mentioned this or not. There was a lot happening at the end, but the mom was in the Korean War.
Yes,
that's important.
Yes, as they're introducing each other to each other, she mentions that I survived the Korean War. And her son's claim to fame is, I'm the son of the woman who survived the Korean War. And it's like, hell yeah, dude. But yeah, no, that's a pretty interesting fact about her.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a kind of twist moment of like, oh shit. Like, I think she's about to kick ass in the next episode.
Well, you got to wait and see, I guess. But
I also liked 2000s Utada just absolutely not being at all enthralled by
Thanos. Yeah,
Thanos. Have you got all the Infinity Stones? And she's like laughing at him, and he has his nails painted the Infinity Stones.
Hey man, say what you want about him, but at least he commits to the bit, right?
Yeah, that's true.
He doesn't, like, she makes fun of it, and he doesn't ever go, you're right, this Thanos thing is stupid, or, like, he commits to it, man. Good for him. I hate his friend way more than I hate him.
Yeah. I also liked, she says to him, mind your own business, you junkie. Which is like, Jesus.
Yeah, she eviscerates him quite a bit, and well-deserved, because that guy sucks. We'll get into that more in the next episode, too, because, surprise, spoiler, he sucks even more.
Yeah. I noted pregnant lady. We find out that she had no contact with Crypto Bro for 6 months, and I went, oh, so she's really pregnant.
Yeah, she, I think they mentioned it once in this episode, or last episode, but they mentioned that she looks like she's she's close to giving birth.
Yeah.
And then they do mention it again next episode. So they're even though she's pretty small, she's a smaller gal. We are supposed to believe that she is, in the final days of her pregnancy.
Yeah. There is just as a general note, I do really like the reversal of, we pretty much have the relationship of the old man and Gihan again, but this time we're in on it from the beginning, which I really dig. I
meant to mention that earlier too. It's like how we would feel about Ilnam if we knew, right?
Yeah. Which I guess you could know that if you rewatch, which I haven't done a rewatch.
Yeah, but there's something to be said about the first time too, right? If we knew from the beginning that he was, but I still think we'd like him, right? Because he was also very likable. I'm excited to continue to learn more about the front man here, because I think he's pretty fascinating.
And then my last note is about the kind of behind the scenes workings of the games and the guards and everybody. We see when they collect number 11 and take her to the officer's room, that it looks like they go into a new staircase area that we haven't seen before, where there's like a huge drop off. Did you notice? Like, hang on, I'm gonna actually print screen. Really
I didn't
quickly.
notice a new. I thought it was the same area, just like higher up.
Like, to me, this isn't the same area.
No, I think it is.
Is it that wide, that area?
I think it's just higher up. Because I think if you had a downward shot of it, you'd see the area where they typically walk.
Okay, maybe. It's just that there was so much space, like...
I mean, it's a ridiculously dense facility for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, it's completely unrealistic.
It's insane. We also went to an area where there's like a purple hallway. So we've seen different hallways, right? We've seen the orange hallway for the soldiers. Last season, we saw the workers when Junho was pretending to be a worker. They were in like it was just kind of like a plain hallway, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now we see they go into like a purple hallway is where the officer is. And there's other doors in the purple hallway.
Yeah. So
I'm curious as to who is in this area.
I'm trying to remember in season 1 when the VIPs were there and Junho kind of infiltrated that as like a waiter.
Yeah.
Like what the area behind there looked like, and I can't remember.
Neither can I. But I was, when I was watching this, I was like, maybe there's more captains, or I don't know. But I thought this was interesting. This area, I was like, who's here?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just, the front man's office.
Yeah.
Also, we've seen his office. His office is like very posh and bright and yeah.
Also, though, the music during this bit kicks ass. There's like a part of it that sounds like somebody racking a gun. Like, it's the music when they're walking to see the captain is really, really good.
I mean, the music overall has been really good. I really like the carnival-y music when they're playing the game, the teams that we don't really care about. Like, that shit's really good. There's a lot of really good the voting music.
Yes.
From the last episode is incredible. It reminds me of like if Nobuo Uematsu wrote a Mass Effect song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of got that like constant like kind of spacey Mass Effect thing going, but the melodies and the harmonies are so like Eastern focused, right? And so it's just this really cool song.
Yeah, that's all my notes.
All right, cool. Well, everybody, I'm having a really good time watching this show. I hope you guys are all as well. And I'm excited to get into more. I'm excited to talk about episode 5.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the cadence is that we're posting this.
Yeah, I've got no idea. I'm kind of sad we're almost done.
Yeah?
We've got 3 episodes left.
Right. Which I thought there were 8, and you're telling me there's 7.
There's only 7.
I have not confirmed.
I'm looking at it right now, 7 episodes.
You might be lying to me.
I'm looking right at it right now, 7 episodes.
I don't know. You might be lying.
This is like a secret 8th episode that unlocks after you watch 7.
They should do that. That would be so fucking cool.
Yeah.
If you have to watch the first 7 episodes and then the 8th one unlocks, they should do that shit.
Yeah.
Netflix should figure that out.
You can tell that we really like JRPGs. By that suggestion, the fact that we're like, there should be a secret part of the story that only unlocks if you 100% have. That is the fucking JRPG.
We should do that with all media. Like, you should have to read a whole Brando Sando book, and then in the mail drops the end of the book.
Send you the ending. I'd actually love that.
I know you would. I would
love that.
All media should do that. Hey, I listened to your whole album. Send me the bonus tracks. Yeah. You know what I mean? Let's do it. I'm in.
You have to answer a quiz too, to prove the completion.
Yeah, I'm so in. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Come on, everybody. Secret media. Just like Kingdom Hearts. Give me the secret ending.
Yeah, I love it.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening and watching. You can email us at squidproquo. That's not it. squidboyspq@gmail.com. I don't know why I fuck that up every time. And you can follow me on Twitter at SpikeGhetti Bros and on Twitch at twitch.tv/SuperSpikeGhetti Sean, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter at Sean_AFK. You and I also have a BoJack Horseman podcast called What Is This? A crossover episode. And you guys should listen to that because it's real fun.
Yep. We finished 3 seasons of that, and we'll be continuing that once this season of Squid Game is finished. So
yes.
Check that out. It's a similar vibe despite being a completely different show.
Yep. It's us making really dumb jokes, going on really dumb tangents, and every so often having really deep conversations.
I've been told multiple times by the same person that it is the best podcast we do.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because I think it's clearly
the worst.
Fine, I'll do it myself. The Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast that Jason and I have abandoned. I think that's the best one.
I was really a big fan of that podcast until you guys verbally eviscerated me on it.
What did we say about you?
When I was on for Eternals and you guys killed my entire family live on the podcast with me.
Well, yeah, don't come on for a shit movie. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to tell you. Sean, I'll tell you what. I will have you back on that. I will revive that podcast when the Marvel Cinematic Universe explains why no one has mentioned the giant hand in the ocean. Okay?
Hey, man, have you seen the trailers for Captain America?
Is it in it? Is it in there?
There's a scene in the trailer that has the giant.
They're not going to talk about it. That's
Eternals.
Bait.
Yeah.
Feige's baiting you right now.
It's in the trailer.
What is Harrison Ford gonna like jump on it? What are they gonna do with it?
I think the vibe is it's like an arms race to get the stuff on the island, or the quote unquote island, on the like whatever the Celestial was made out of. I think is the vibe.
Oh, so they're like drilling into it?
I think different countries want whatever it's made out of.
I guess that makes sense, because I mean, there's that Celestial that's like a hollowed out head in Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I don't know what. But if that happens, I'll have you on the podcast, and I will apologize that I made fun of you about Eternals.
That would be really nice. I might cry.
And then I won't release it. Anyway, Thank you guys for listening and watching. Sean, I agree to end this podcast.
I also agree to end this podcast.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.